What's that sign up ahead say? It says you are now entering Gotham. Welcome to Before the Bat, the Gotham podcast, the best podcast about the upcoming show Gotham that'll premiere on the Fox Network in 2 weeks now. And this is Phil Parrish, your co-host. Yes, co-host, because we have a group of new co-hosts this week, hopefully every week. Let's see, who should we throw to first? Tyler, you want to go first?
Hey, I'm Tyler, and I'm excited to be here co-hosting and talking about Batman and Gotham.
And you said you're a big comic book fan?
Oh, I'm a total comic book fan, man. Little background about me, I've been reading comics since I was little. About to have a baby boy, his room's going to be done in DC. Already been buying everything. I got 3 DC tattoos, my wife has 1. My wife and I went and did a segment that never aired for Comic Book Men. We went up there and bought some Batman or some Superman stuff.
Oh.
So, yeah, man, just big time comic book nerd. Always love talking about, finding new people to talk about, talking on Twitter about it, whoever I can get a hold of.
Yeah, I'll watch Comic Book Man. That would have been cool to see you on there.
Yeah, man, I was pumped, and it never aired. I guess it just one of the segments they didn't put on, so I don't know. I'm always watching, like, if I have nothing to watch, I'll throw on some Justice League in the background for my Netflix.
Yeah.
There you go.
Always has something going on. We just, the wife and I finished last night. We finished watching all of Batman, the animated series. We watched it all straight.
Oh.
And we got to the end, we're like, man, now we gotta wait for, we call it Volume 4 to go get that.
Oh, yeah.
Which is when they changed the animation style, you know?
Yeah, I have them all on DVD, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna watch that, and then after that we're like, oh no, now what?
Okay, and our other co-host is Kelly.
Hey guys, I'm Kelly, and by day I'm a boring purchaser, but I have a secret identity. In the evening time, I write for Voice of TV. I review both Arrow and The Flash, and I co-host on this podcast as well as Arrowcast and Flashcast.
Nice.
So yeah, I've been around a while. I'm older than you two, but I have a 13-year-old daughter, but I've been reading comics since I was a kid in the 70s, and have enjoyed all things DC forever and ever.
And you said you've been jumping back in lately with the comic books?
Yeah, I actually, hadn't picked up a comic in a long time, but I'm a huge I was a big fan of The Flash back in the 90s, and jumped back into the comic books around Arrow time. I used to read the Green Arrow comics when I was a kid, and Justice League, and, all that stuff, and so I hop back in with all the Arrow comics, and I'm trying to catch up with Flash, and so, yeah, I'm back into that again. I've also done quite a few conventions, so if you go to conventions, you may see me. I may be able to get to New York Comic Con this year, which would be awesome. I've been to San Diego Comic Con. I was just at Wizard World a couple weeks ago. That's where I saw the Gotham pilot. And,
yeah, Tyler, she saw the Gotham pilot already.
Yep, I've seen it. I've seen the Flash pilot, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Flash.
But anyway, yeah, so I do a lot of conventions, so if you all go to conventions, maybe you'll see me and my daughter walking around.
That's awesome. I missed a couple of them this year, and I'm still going to hit the one coming to Ohio here at the end of October. So
very cool. Which one's that?
It's one of the Wizard Cons.
Columbus?
It's in Columbus.
Very cool. Well, I'm just a state away, so.
Awesome.
I'm in Indiana.
Cool.
I'm a state away in the opposite direction, Pennsylvania.
Okay. That's awesome. Yeah, Columbus, Ohio is where I'm at right now.
Very cool. Well, one of these days we should meet in the middle somewhere for a live show.
There we go. Yeah, I'll tell you, if I can comment real quick, I was going to say, I found that when they did the New 52 was a really nice kind of jumping back into point, because I just started reading graphic novels, so they were collected, because I got lost, just through time and stuff with all the individuals. But my library here keeps an extensive collection. They have individual issues for a lot of titles as well as the graphic novels.
I just happen to be lucky and have a librarian in the family. My sister's a librarian, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm actually hoping maybe I can get them to do an exhibition of comic book art here this year. So
that's so cool. I have read almost everything New 52, just because like I said, I just get everything my library has.
Well, yeah, I think that was their whole plan, is for for people like you to jump back in and.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked a lot.
My problem is Lilith is a huge comic book junkie, and so it's always like, here, you need to read this and this. So she keeps me supplied.
A very passionate junkie.
Yes, very passionate comic book junkie. I love her to death.
That's how I've been towards my wife. She got reading, we were at the comic book shop one day and she saw some art and just started looking, and she was looking at Hush. And she's like, this looks cool. I'm like, I have that. Just I have it split in 2 volumes. Mm-hmm. So I came home and pulled some stuff like, here. She read Hush. And then the next day I came home and she was reading The Killing Joke. And she's like, this is really good. I'm like, I love you even more. Right now I got up for her to read. She's got Long Halloween. She's about to start.
Oh, that is so good. That's a great Batman story.
I know.
My daughter just got into comics. She's excited because she got to meet an artist for My Little Pony. So she was very excited about that.
Hey, that's cool.
Hey, I've got her reading real comic books though too. So.
Tyler, you have to tell me how you got your wife into comics. I'm trying to get my wife into comics.
It's just one of those things. Like I kept like reading. Like she'd watch the shows and stuff with me, and it was just one of those things. Like I said, she'd go to the store with me, and certain things she'd be kind of interested in, and then like she liked Jim Lee's art, and I kept talking about different books, and I kept telling her, like, you should read this, you should check this out, and like I said, I came home and I pulled out Hush. And she really was a big fan of Ledger's Joker. Like, she liked Ledger, period.
Oh, yeah.
So I kept telling her, like, okay, if you really like the Joker-centric, because even when we watched the animated series, I was like, you have to read The Killing Joke. So I pulled that out, and she read that, and then she started reading Catwoman, New 52. And I bought her the first 2 volumes for her birthday. And she read those, and she likes it all. Like, she doesn't read as much as I do, but she does. She's mainly more in the Batverse. Like, I just picked up Volume 1 of Batgirl for New 52, because I read all of that, and I'm like, this is so good. So, I want her to read Nightwing, because I got the whole run of Nightwing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, it's so good. I'm like, so she's reading slowly, but she's reading, I love the Court of Owls story. Like, for Nightwing and Batman, I'm like, you have to check this out. But it just kind of came from her just having the interest, like, well, you really like reading this stuff a lot, so I'll give it a try. And just finding the character that she can connect with and interest her.
That's awesome. I think Ellie's talking about her next cosplay to be Batgirl, so.
Is it the new Batgirl outfit?
Yeah, the new Batgirl outfit.
The one that everyone says is like the best for cosplayers.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty awesome. I actually got a really nice breakout of the costume pieces, so, in a graphic, so it'll make it easier for me to fabricate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, plus there's like 20 different versions of the Batgirl costume, so.
Right, well, I'm talking the new one with the Doc Martens and the,
Oh, that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
it's very much her style.
That's really cool. Yeah, I want to cosplay more, but I'm not good at making costumes as much. But I did make I'll tell you guys this. I made a funny short film that was kind of like about old fat superheroes.
Oh no!
And I played everyone in the video is my family or my friend, and it's on YouTube. It was called For Justice, but all the costumes I made are all like really homemade, like low key. I used my Flash costumes, a red hoodie with felt and stuff like that, and it was all just good, fun for me and my family to just kind of screw around with.
That sounds cool.
It's only like 10 minutes long, man. If you get a chance, it's on my YouTube page. It's J. Ty Patrick. It's funny. It's got some good dumb stuff in it, but it was just us having a goofy time.
I know this is a DC podcast, but the last convention we went to, we saw this guy. He had a Iron Man costume. It looked pretty authentic. Like it looked like the suit from Iron Man 3, but like instead of like made of metal, it was like a hard plastic. And he, like the arc reactor in his chest, and the repulsors were lit up.
Man, like, that stuff's so cool. I'm like,
I know, and he had a switch on it somewhere where, like, the faceplate would open and close whenever he hit this hidden switch, and, like, when the faceplate shut, the eyes lit up and stuff. I mean, it was...
There was some people at Chicago at Wizard World that did the 1970s, 80s version of Battlestar Galactica, and they even had a Cylon, and it was incredible.
wow.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I wish they would have had Heroes of Cosplay there, because it was that good. They also had a Godzilla that was pretty incredible too. But talking about the Flash, just as an aside, might want to mention to people that the Flashcast, actually, John Wesley Shipp will be live tweeting with us on the 23rd and or the 30th of September.
Oh.
For some old episodes of 90s Flash. So if you guys are so inclined,
I just revisited that series.
There you go. Well, we've been watching it every Tuesday night and tweeting during the Flash's time slot, so for this fall. So join us if you can.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to find your Twitter handle, Kelly.
I am Super Squint.
Super Squint?
SuperSquint.
I'll look that up right now. I was going to say all my cosplay and homemade costumes are Smallville inspired, where they all look like hoodies.
It was like Smallville. It took you 10 years to make them.
Yeah.
I never watched Smallville until last summer, and I marathoned all 10 seasons in 3 months.
Hey, that's what I did with Friends. I did that in a month and a half. But
see, I watched Smallville in real time. I think probably marathoning it would have been the way to go, because there's some parts in the middle there where it's like,
yeah,
dragging this out.
Yeah, that's why I tell people it's good, but it really gets good like season 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, like once he gets out of high school and they start doing like the
Freak of the Week.
Yeah, this person was infected with kryptonite. Then next week, this is another person with powers who got infected with kryptonite. You know.
It was so odd because the very first episode I saw was the finale, and I saw 15 minutes of it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to have to watch this show. So that's what made me go back and watch it.
What I want to do is I used to have a lot of them, and then long story short, I had to sell them to pay for a recording in the band I was in.
I understand that. Been there, done that.
But I want to go back and buy the box set, and then what I want to do is for a year, I just want to sit down like every night with my wife, 1 episode a day, and just make our way through it. It's a good show. It's not perfect. I mean, there's some episodes I'm just like, this is horrible.
Yeah, as a whole, I think it's good, but yeah, there are like certain things where you can take it apart and nitpick, but
I think the modern shows are doing a lot more justice to the DC characters than some of the older ones. But
I believe that. But I just believe that Smallville was more necessary than people realize, because it bridged that from, it was the first TV show to do what it did.
Right.
It's right there in the middle where you hadn't had anything live action DC since what, The Flash?
Yeah, from 1991 or 2, yeah.
1990, I think, yeah.
Well, it was 1990-91, I think.
Yeah.
You had
when I was in college.
Superboy, and then The Flash, and that was it. And
and don't forget the Cape. Oh, what a stinker.
I mean, did you guys ever watch the failed Aquaman pilot?
Yes, no. I own it.
I do too. I even have the failed Justice League of America pilot.
Oh, really? No, I didn't know about that one.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I've seen pictures from it. It looks horrible.
It is so bad. Like, the characterizations are not there. The effects are cheap.
And the villain is what, the Weatherman or something?
Yeah, like, it's so bad. Like, the Green Lantern's an amalgam of Kyle, Hal, and Guy Gardner.
Ugh.
The Flash is like from Brooklyn type person. It's Barry, but it's not Barry. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got a lightning bolt earring he wears. I'm just,
yeah, one more here.
I mean, the effects are, yeah, exactly. I mean, Lois and Clark did well for what it was. And
that was like a rom-com or whatever.
Yeah, and it was 97.
Right.
When it ended, and then after that, I mean, it wasn't until 2001 when Smallville came out, and You know, I think one of the best things that come from Smallville is the fact that it brought light to Green Arrow, which helped get Arrow.
Yeah. I did enjoy that incarnation of Superman. I would say that's one of my favorite incarnations of Superman since Christopher Reeves.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I tell, you know, people always talk about Reeves being their Superman or, like, the film versions, and I'm always like, you know what? I just really liked what they did with Smallville. Like, that was kind of my Superman just because I wrote a paper, just telling people, like, you know, I was born in a good time for Superman fans. I was born in 85.
Yeah.
And just, like, I was born right when the Reeves stuff was ending, but there were still 3 and 4 came out right there. I watched those, and I grew up with the Reeves, but then I had Lois and Clark when I was a kid with the animated series. You know, and then I tell people, like, I was in high school when Smallville started, and by the time it ended, I had graduated college and was married. You know, so, like, it was a big chunk of time right there.
Yeah, I could say the same thing. I mean, when Smallville started, I remember where I was at, and by the time it ended 10 years later, I was married, and...
I had been married for several years by the time that started, and got divorced, actually, during that, so...
I guess it was a decade, so it's not hard for, you know...
Yeah.
Your life to change.
But
my theory on all, like, comic book shows and movies is, the more they want to be successful, the easiest way is stick as close to the source material as you can.
I would say stay close to the source material.
I know they have to deviate a little, probably, you know, just for time constraints or, you know...
Well, yeah, look at the Arrowverse.
Story along, yeah.
I think Arrow's done the best with being able to just kind of tweak things a little bit, change things up that it works, and keeps you, like, surprised.
A lot,
yeah.
But yeah,
look at the difference between season 1 and 2. They threw so much comic book stuff into season 2, and I don't want to hear season 3 is not going to be any different.
Oh, yeah.
No, season 3 is going to be pretty amazing, but I digress.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, that'd be a whole nother conversation.
Yes. So, you guys have not seen the Gotham pilot yet?
No.
Nope. We have it set as a family event. The whole family's gonna watch it.
Have you seen any of the trailers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to remember how much is shown in the trailers.
Not enough.
Obviously not enough. It's not like the 4.5-minute Flash trailer that they gave. Yeah, no, that was awesome. But,
I'm just trying to remember what you told me last time when we talked.
Well, it really has the same kind, to me, the same kind of gritty feel as Arrow has. It's kind of delving in, at least in the first episode, to, you know, the mob underbelly of Gotham.
That's cool.
And, it's really nice because in this episode, you don't just meet one villain.
Yeah, I see posters and stuff for all of them, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm like, I don't know how I feel about a lot of it. I'm kind of worried.
I'm just scared because it's like, it's either going to be a very depressing show because every season, you know, the city's going to get worse and worse and the cops are going to be overwhelmed. But if the cops handle the criminals too easily, then it's going to be like, well, what's the point? Why do they need a Batman?
Well, yeah. I can tell you in this episode, at least, that they don't go down without a fight, and in fact, they don't actually really go down. But I found myself really rooting for Jim Gordon, and he kind of surprises you because, you know, there's a lot of corruption even in the police department. And that's kind of what they're showing of Gotham, that there's corruption and there's all this stuff going on. And how, you know, he's got to face being a good, clean cop while still working around this and so that he can be there another day to fight it.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where he gets really creative. And I was
think you have to get creative in Gotham.
Yeah, you know, he definitely gets really creative.
I'm just going to throw this out there, just like as my thought is, like, what I worry is the show's going to try to be too much Batman without Batman. You know, they're going to try to bring in all these hints at all these characters. Like, I heard a rumor that they're going to, they were trying to tease the idea of Professor Pig. And, you know.
Yeah, I saw Mr. Freeze, too.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm excited for the Penguin, straight up, because
he's in the pilot.
I've always pictured the Penguin as being like an older villain than Batman, and like a crime boss. And I feel like we haven't got a new version of him since Batman Returns, and he needed to be reinvented.
You're going to be surprised where he comes from.
I'm excited for his character. I'm cool with the idea of like showing the kid Catwoman because she is a kid, but they teased out Poison Ivy, Riddler, and I'm like, that's just, you're going to try to put too much before, Bruce is Batman.
Well, understand, like, from what I saw of the pilot, because I saw the whole pilot, anyway.
Lucky. From
what I saw of the one episode, like, for example, when you see the Penguin, he's not the Penguin. This is, you're seeing him before he's still in the pocket of a crime boss, but he's not the Penguin.
Yeah.
He's just a guy. And I think they're going to really go through the development of what causes these people to develop that. I mean, because he is, right now, just a little peon guy. Okay?
I know they were talking about time jumps maybe between seasons, and they said Bruce Wayne wouldn't be Batman, at least until like the last episode. And they're probably going to do that with all the characters,
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be the Penguin until the last episode. You won't see like a fully realized Catwoman until the last episode, probably.
Yeah.
The gal who plays Catwoman is...
Yeah, you said
really,
you were impressed with that character.
She is really impressive, and that gal is a dynamo. She was there at Wizard World, and just bubbly, you just wanted to go up there and hug her.
Yeah, I saw something about her. Isn't she like 15 or something?
Yeah.
Some kind of dancer?
Her movement, she is so graceful.
Yeah, I think they said she's some kind of dancer.
Well, and that would make sense because of her character, and how she moves in the episode. She definitely moves like a cat burglar. But it's just so interesting because you see there was a lot to this episode that you didn't really expect, and I didn't expect to fall in love with Jim Gordon that quick. I really didn't.
See, I'm excited to see what they do with him and with Bullock, because we know that Bullock is supposed to be pretty much a good cop with some rough areas.
Yeah, he bends the role.
You got big questions in this first episode, let me tell you that.
Yeah, because I think, didn't you, the last time we talked, Kelly, didn't you said you were like, I don't know, is Bullock supposed to be a good cop, a bad cop? I'm like, that's his character.
Yeah, he's really questionable where his morality and where his loyalties lie.
Yeah, he bends the roles as
he's good buddies with the crime bosses, and he looks the other way when things happen, and so yeah, I mean, and I'm sure well, you can even see in this episode, Jim Gordon is just banging his head against the wall because he doesn't know. Is my partner a good guy or a bad guy? And there's even a point where you think he's really probably a bad guy. Because of some of the things that go on.
And that's just the tension of the series right there, is you have that fear of who really can Gordon rely on, who's going to be there, if anyone, when he tries to do what's right and what's just in a city that's so corrupt.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. I heard he's going to have tension on all sides, because I think they were talking about, Gordon's engaged, I guess, to the woman who's going to be his wife, but she must have some kind of history with, Renee Montoya or something.
She's got it
around like romantic or something.
I can't recall. It's been now a few weeks since I saw this, but there was definitely tension there. And then he's also got a lot of people think he's only there because of his dad. The only reason he got the job was because of his dad. And why you want to come back here, to this place when you could be. You were this highfalutin guy, and you did all this stuff, and why do you want to come back here? Kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think in the comics, he was from Chicago. He was in the Chicago Police Department. There was some kind of scandal or something, and he had to come to Gotham. So
yeah, that was in year one. They talked about that was the big thing where he brought because year one from the comics and even the animated film did a good job.
Yeah.
It was Gordon's first year transferred there at the same time. It was Batman's first year on the scene.
Yeah, so it kind of ran parallel, Gordon and...
That's cool. And then the other thing that I really liked was there was a scene, while it didn't recreate the scene from the Dark Knight trilogy, it just was really kind of reminiscent of the scene where Gordon gives him his coat. You know, young Bruce Wayne gives him his coat when he...
Oh yeah, they go... That's in there in the first episode too, right? The murder of the Waynes? Yes.
Yes, and that scene just reminded me of that.
Man, I'll tell you what, from the trailer, I love the fact this is the first time we see the murder of the Waynes and Bruce Wayne is screaming. Everything else they've shown, like, in Batman Begins and in Batman and stuff, it's always him. He's just in shock and quiet. And I don't know, you guys get a chance in, I think it's issue 29, I could be wrong, of Batman Zero Year, is probably the most heartbreaking issue of Batman when it dealt with the Waynes.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I have it.
Because the last page is just Bruce Wayne's face in tears screaming help. And like the beginning of it's all about his parents picking him up from where he skipped school to go to the movies, and then his dad decides to take him to the movies that night and skip some charity event. And it's like, it's the first time you get to see the Waynes be a little bit more playful with their son, and then the end of it is just, wow.
Yeah, and in this, I felt myself, feeling really bad for them. Because you pretty much immediately like them, the Waynes. And they're just, walking through this alley and this happens and how horrible that must be. And there's a very interesting witness to this crime that nobody seems to see. And, it's very interesting.
See, I feel like in every incarnation we never really got to know the Waynes enough to, like, we care about them, but we're not like, man, I really like these people. I don't think the mom ever had a line in Batman Begins at all.
No.
I'm hoping we'll see flashbacks to them.
That would be awesome. That would be really
because he's
great.
young. So he's going to remember them. You know what I'm saying? I think you'll probably will in this series because he is so young, and you've got Alfred dealing with him and helping him, and you meet Alfred in the pilot too. So you've got him helping him to deal with this.
Yeah, we should be seeing Bruce Wayne enough because I would hope they go into like some of his training maybe.
That's what I was going to ask, is what you guys' thoughts were on having Bruce Wayne included in this series, or if it should be more complete. Like, we should meet Bruce and him disappear.
I think the original plan is they were going to do a show without Bruce Wayne entirely, maybe have him during the murder of his parents, and then that was it. But I think now there isn't the plan for him to be in there every so often.
I think, and he is very young he's a boy in the pilot. So, they could still run with that for a while. And the trauma that he is going through, and his memories of his parents and what led up to that. And because, they're still going to have to deal with the aftermath of that. So I think they could keep him and just use him occasionally, like, you see him and he's in school and wouldn't have to be every week, but you could see kind of what he's doing in his life so that you can kind of keep a timeline. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As you see him grow, you can tell what the timeline is of the show.
Yeah, and I've heard rumors of maybe a time jumps between seasons. What would you think of that?
I think it could be really interesting, like, not huge time jumps, but maybe like season 2 starts where, however they end Gordon, but Gordon's got a kid or two.
Yeah.
And like, that way you can kind of work backwards and do flashbacks to move the story forward. Because I feel like you could easily get bogged down to being just a regular crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
And lose some of the edge that the Gotham really has, and the idea that there are people here who are hideously evil who have yet to emerge. And because I always felt like once Batman was revealed, it kind of inspired the criminals then, like, oh, well, I'm already doing this, but let's take my game to the next level, and I'll put on a suit as well and become, the Riddler.
Yeah, that's why I hope they don't do too many, like, over-the-top villains, like Mr. Freeze or anything. I think they just need to stick with, like, the Penguin, Catwoman, the Riddler.
I think Black Mask would be cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, like, the Selina Kyle that you see in the pilot, her wardrobe is reminiscent of Catwoman, but yet it's different. She's wearing kind of like almost like a pilot's helmet, or like a pilot's cap, the flaps and stuff. It kind of reminds you of her, cowl and everything, but it's not.
Yeah. Do you see where she comes from also?
I'm sorry?
Do you see, like, where she comes from? Like, if she has a family or anything?
You start to see the beginning of her story in the pilots. A little bit of it. And I think she's going to have a very interesting story. Just in the fact that she's this young, she's already able to do the things that she's doing. How long has she been doing this? How long has she been in a situation that she's had to do this? What happened to what happened to cause this? And so that's going to be, I think, an interesting storyline. Have you guys seen Fish Mooney?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen pictures and stuff, and a little bit from the trailer, but...
To me, I think that the series is more Arrow-like, but I thought the Fish Mooney character was a little bit over the top. I mean, she is eccentric, granted, but I almost felt like she was kind of a caricature.
Did they say why they call her Fish Mooney?
Well, she seems to be out on the docks.
Okay. She's
a mobster.
Okay.
And we don't really go into that yet, but I have a feeling we will. But she's definitely the head mob boss at this point.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were setting up.
Well, the problem in the head is eventually someone's going to take you out.
Yeah, and people are already discussing that. So,
is there any inclination that we know of anything towards Falcone? Maybe mention any kind of maybe.
Yeah. I forget the name they had, but I saw it on social media, either Facebook or Twitter, the other day. Just a day or two ago, they were talking about Falcone, but I forget who the actor was.
Well, I wonder if they put him or any of rewatching the animated series, you have some really good characters like Daggett and Thorn that I think could be brought into a series just for mixing things up.
And I'm sure there were probably other characters that I missed because it's been a while for me,
Oh, yeah, and it seems like they just, it was only an hour, right? It seems like they packed so much stuff into it.
They did, and there's lots of people that they only refer to by their first name, or, that they may be thugs now, just, background people.
Because, it just seems like all these characters, you could almost do 30, 40 minutes just on one of the characters, and we've already named, you have the Murder of the Waynes, Catwoman, Penguin, Mooney.
Oh, and the mess that Jim Gordon and his partner get into is pretty funny. They kind of have to hang around a while, and it's kind of comical, but so it's nice because they give some comic relief in the episode, so it's not all really dark, even though it could be, if they let it. But
yeah, I don't think
there are moments that are funny.
Yeah, I don't think you can pound people week after week with just dark. You have to throw that comic relief in there.
Yeah, this ain't Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, you got to have your Felicity moments here and there, So
yeah,
I think the thing that could be really neat for the show is the idea that you have this pinnacle point of it could be the murder of the Waynes, where because of that, the city now is slowly getting darker and darker. So as Bruce is growing and training and moving towards the idea of Batman, the city is becoming darker and more corrupt, so that when it comes time for Batman, it's at its darkest. That way you can see that, the good that Jim is doing is not being met with any kind of positive. It's still just him beating his head against the wall.
Right. And how long can he take that? Because it's pretty obvious that it's going to take a toll on his relationship and on, his relationships with other people and his own sanity. Because, it's pretty obvious that he gets frustrated, and who could blame the guy,
Yeah.
But I really hope that, I hope in this series, like I think in The Flash, I think we're going to see, hopefully we're going to get to meet some of the people of Gotham. That's one of the big beefs I have with Arrow. Quite frankly, half of Starling City was destroyed, and who cares? Because we don't know anybody out there. Are they moving out by droves? I would be.
503 dead people. Who were they?
Yeah, we knew Tommy, and he died.
Yeah, well, wow, one person.
Exactly.
I'm hoping that in Gotham it will be more personal, that we will get to meet the people of the city that Gordon is helping, you know, instead of them being faceless, nameless people that,
You know who's someone that could do that was a character? Dr. Leslie Tompkins. Bring her in. Because she ran that mission. You could use that character and that mission as being something that Gordon supports and use that to help meet people on the street level. People, like you said, the average, ordinary person that we connect with being, how does the average person live in Gotham? Why do they live in Gotham?
And how do they deal with the crime?
If it's that bad, why aren't people leaving more? Like, what has brought them?
Are they afraid?
Are there good citizens still in Gotham?
Yeah.
Dr. Tompkins would be good too, because I mean, in certain versions of the story, she was a friend of the Waynes, and like after their murder, she acted like kind of like a mother figure to Bruce. So,
I agree. Like I'm familiar with a lot of characters because, like I was saying, like me and my friend once wrote up a treatment for if we rebooted Batman, and like characters like I always mention, like I think it'd be awesome if you meet young Bruce, if we meet his friend, Tommy Elliott.
Oh yeah.
Just padding out that universe with people that one day will take on roles that they haven't had, but they're very just kind of like coming and going, like, hey, this is young Tommy,
Yeah. Oh, now that you said that, I want to see him on the show so bad. Some little kid come to the door and Alfred's like, it's Tommy at the door.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Someone that you can meet and doesn't have to have a huge consequence to the show, but just...
Yeah. He can even have, like, carrying bandages or something.
I think one of the interesting things, too, was the person who witnessed the murder of the Waynes seems very curious about young Bruce. And I hope that means that we'll have a meeting between these two people. Or maybe a friendship between these two people, because that could be very interesting.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, there's so much that can be done, and to just, bring light to characters, like I said, like Tommy, that people don't know, but the fan, if I'm gonna watch this with my family, they'll be like, oh, Bruce has a friend named Tommy, no big deal. But I'd sit there like, that's Tommy Elliott, that's Hush,
Yeah.
I think it'd be sweet if they ever did an older Bruce, or even like Bruce's schoolmates and Andrea Beaumont, little throw out to the Phantasm from the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a character that'd be neat to just kind of just mess with people.
Yeah. There's so much stuff they could throw in there. I mean, Batman's been around 75 years. There's
so many Easter eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can do it without having to be forceful. I think that's something that's been great about Arrow, is they've been able to do things without it feeling forced. Like,
right.
Let's throw in some more DC stuff. Let's bring in more people or characters where we're just like, whoa. They're just able to do it slowly and...
Even little billboards or newspaper articles, that kind of stuff. I find all those kinds of crazy things in Arrow if you, enlarge pictures and screen caps and stuff.
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you saw, the pilot for Smallville. If you pay attention, when it shows Lionel Luthor reading a newspaper, it says the Queen's murdered.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And I did not realize that the first time I watched the pilot, but, years down the road, when I was rewatching it, I noticed it, and I was like, holy crap, like, they allude to Oliver's parents.
From the beginning.
Without even, because originally it was supposed to be Batman that came to Smallville. And they couldn't do it. So eventually they just settled and did Green Arrow. So, I mean, they had no intention of bringing Oliver in when they first started.
That's awesome. How awesome is it, too, that we're going to have 5 DC Comics shows this season?
I think I wrote down on my calendar, I'm like, wow, there's one night, I think, during the week, is it, that I won't have one? Wait a minute. Gotham's Tuesday.
Flash,
Monday.
Monday,
yes,
and then Flash is Tuesday, Arrow is Wednesday.
And Constantine's Friday.
Oh, and what day is iZombie? iZombie starts mid-season. I don't think they've announced what day yet.
Yeah, I don't know if they have a date.
I hope it's Thursday, because then that would finish out my DC week.
I know, isn't it crazy? I'm trying to schedule my DVR. And it's like,
I know.
My DVR is going to be smoking.
There's so much TV. I mean,
I'm just glad that it's DC TV that's good. It's not like you go back and, like I said, watch some of the stuff they tried in the 90s and it was just not good.
Well, I think it's ironic that, while Marvel may be ruling the movies at this point, DC is ruling TV.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys ever watch the failed Wonder Woman pilot that was made, like, what, in 2010?
No.
It's horrible. It is bad. They released just the work print, was released, and, it was bad. Like, I don't know why I ever thought that was a good idea.
And they gave it to David E. Kelly, too.
Yes. I'm just like, why? Why?
I loved the original Wonder Woman. That was when I was little. I used to watch Linda Carter, and I loved her.
It works. I got bored the other day, and I wrote down what I call my DC live-action multiverse, because people are complaining about all the different universes, like how this doesn't connect and this doesn't connect, and I just had fun with it and wrote down, like, all the shows that are in the same universe. It was just me being a nerd.
But yeah, I think we live in a golden age now where, like, back in the day it was just, here's a character, make a show about him, but now, like, the people who are making the shows and the movies are actual fans.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think that's a great thing. Oh my goodness.
That's why they're so good, is because they're people who know the characters, know their history, and are able, like I said, pad out the universe. Like, hey, we need a soldier. Well, don't just make it a soldier, make it this character. Just by name, like, by mention. Like, I know have you guys seen the Flash trailer? It does a quick pan that says Ferris Airfield.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're just like, whoa, okay, cool, like, that's connecting, just dropping. Like, will it pan out? Maybe not.
Oh yeah, they've already mentioned Ferris like once or twice on Arrow even.
Yeah.
They mentioned Bloodhaven and
oh, I know.
And Arrow
on Arrow already.
Big Belly Burger is in the Flash poster.
Yep.
Of course. There's Star Labs, Big Belly,
Arrow, they mentioned the number 52, I don't know how many times.
Oh yeah. There are so many Easter eggs, it's awesome.
And the thing is, I hope that Gotham is able to put some stuff in there, because it would just be neat. Like, they can mention Bloodhaven and something like that, just because, just
Metropolis.
Make it feel like it's a bigger place than just Gotham.
Right.
Because, Constantine's mentioned how they're going to add the Spectre. They just cast the Spectre for the Constantine show. They showed the helmet of Dr. Fate in the trailer. So, they're building a mystical element with Constantine in the DC universe. So I just hope that Gotham doesn't get too pinholed to where...
Well, they could always spin off another show, too, and I kind of hope they do. Off of Gotham.
Yeah.
They really could, because there's so much going on in the show. And that's the way they could widen their universe, like Arrow has with The Flash. And now you're going to be able to have crossovers between those two shows. Even though Arrow said it was never going to do metas, and, but anyway, we won't go there, but...
everyone demanded it.
Yeah, but anyway, it's, you've broadened your universe, now you've got two cities. You could do the exact same thing with Gotham. You totally could, because there's so many characters in that show. And there's so many different characters in so many different stages.
I think you just have to watch with Gotham, though, because since Bruce Wayne's a young boy, you have to say, okay, what point is this in DC Universe is this taking place,
Exactly.
Right.
Is everyone else young?
Well, the Penguin is. He's still young, Catwoman obviously is young, so you've got some nice continuity, and it's gonna, like I said, I think it's gonna be neat seeing the Penguin, because, like, right now, he's just a penny-ante thug, Mm-hmm. He's this little bitty guy that they pretty much, is a peon.
Oh, I just thought of something I was going to bring up. Where you guys were talking about that. You guys, in the New 52, they did the Red Hood gang. And I thought that would be something that would be neat in Gotham to see, is just the Red Hood gang. The idea of this criminal organization just that all wear red hoods and commit crime. Just something else to kind of fill that, like, drive.
Could that be one of Fish Mooney's gangs, seeing that she has all that red in her hair?
Hey, that's a theory just as good as any. I'm just speculating on things I think could be neat, because Gotham has such a neat criminal underground. Just more to fill out the story and build.
And people have been crying about, they can put the Joker in the show, or they can put the Joker, but it's like, the Joker never showed up before Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it? I read the other day, Kevin Smith's Widening Gyre, and there was a part in that said, that a lot of these criminals started and were just kind of goofy and funny. Some people did it just to fight Batman for attention, but then when the Joker showed up and was murdering people and took it to the next level, a lot of people became more scared.
Well, and you could see, I mean, they could introduce him, but as a regular guy, and see the story of what caused him to start getting crazy. You know, what caused him to go through this metamorphosis and become this person. And, you know, you could cover that, but it would have to be towards the end, I would think. Or unless you did it very slowly through the series.
Yeah, I would think more towards the end.
I think the Joker would be so difficult because in one way it would be cool to see how he becomes that way, but he's so much creepier when you don't know why. You're not really sure. I mean,
yeah, they've shown like several different versions of his origin just because they say even he doesn't remember. He's so crazy he doesn't remember his origin.
Yeah, that's one of the lines in Killing Joke is he says like that's the way it could have happened. You know, he's talking with Batman. So I don't know how I'd feel. Like, I think if they're really crafty and they put a character in there and they do something, and then like maybe a season or two down the road, they do something else with that character, and then it's revealed that character is who will be the Joker, and it's completely like takes everybody by storm.
Maybe they end up finding him in the asylum, and he gives multiple stories of how he became that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have creative enough people who have an idea, if they have a solid plan for season 1, and then like a solid idea for season 2, I think you could do a lot with the show.
I think they've got an aim. I think they've got an aim. Just from the pilot, you can see that they're leading multiple directions. I mean, you can see multiple plot lines coming out of this pilot.
Do you see the definite directions, or just like, well, we could go this way if you want us to, or this way if you want us to?
Well, you see a couple that are pretty well, they're going to have to finish these stories. You know what I'm saying? They've started, now let's go this way. But you see others that are just inklings, that they could take their time to tell, you know? So that's what's kind of neat. You've got multiple layers of story. Yeah, and it's kind of like an Arrow, you know, they've got so many different layers of so much stuff, oh my goodness. And the other thing that I'm very thankful about with Gotham is there's really not been that many spoilers yet.
Yeah, I know, I'm surprised.
I'm thankful for that, because I have so much of a hard time keeping up with all the ones for Arrow and Flash, it's crazy. So
I think a lot of that's to do with, you know, people, but also, like, there's a lot more news right now about those shows than there has been for Gotham. It seems like Gotham's kind of took the quiet side to it's about to premiere. I don't know. You're always seeing, like, they add this person to Arrow, recasting for this character. This character is now coming to Arrow or Flash.
Right. And it's just really kind of weird. But I've also been surprised. I mean, when I went to Wizard World, there was no presents for the Flash at all.
Really?
No presents for Arrow either, which kind of shocked me. Now, Arrow...
Do you think that's a network thing, though? Because Flash and Arrow are on the same network.
Well, but here's the weird thing. Arrow was just at Walker StalkerCon. It was a Walking Dead convention. 3 months prior. Yeah, weird. I mean, and it was the whole main cast. You had David Ramsey, Stephen Amell, Emily Bett, and Manu Bennett were all there.
I think it's a question of timing, or they just pick their battles, or...
I don't know. Now, like I said, Gotham was there, and it was kind of neat because they did the Gotham pilot in conjunction with the local station there, and they had a couple of the stars there, and you could autographs and all that kind of stuff too. But the Flash and Arrow, there was nobody there from the CW network at all. There was, I mean, normally, you know, you'd have people giving out posters and that kind of stuff, and none of that.
Yeah, it was no offense, but do you think maybe Fox has a bigger budget than the CW, perhaps?
That could be, but I wouldn't see why the local CW affiliate wouldn't be there at an event as big as Wizard World, quite frankly.
True.
I mean, because that's...
You can hand out posters or something.
Exactly.
You guys are talking about Fox, like... One thing that I worry about with Gotham is, even if the show's good, if Fox does something and screws it up,
Whether they Firefly it?
Yeah, we've seen what they do with Firefly. I don't know if you guys, I was watching the sitcom they put on Surviving Jack, and I thought that was a hilarious, refreshing sitcom, and they axed it after, 6 or 7 episodes. Yeah. And, remember the trouble they had with Fringe, where they were going to cancel it, and then people fought to keep it on, and...
Although, you know what I did see just a couple days ago? Netflix has already bought the rest of Gotham.
That's crazy. But, that's forward thinking, though.
Yeah, so even if Fox drops it, it could keep going on Netflix.
I'm excited for the Netflix Marvel shows. Just because I would like to see something maybe DC does in that direction with a character just as an experiment. Something where it's on something like Netflix or Hulu or something.
They're not going to put Nightwing on TV, put him on Netflix.
Yeah.
I always said that Nightwing would be I would always make a comment Nightwing would be a great show to do in a Smallville vein where it just starts Dick Grayson day one in college. Kind of does some flashbacks and it's really about him taking his own identity.
Well, they were talking a couple years ago about doing a Grayson show. I don't know if he was still back in the circus.
Yeah.
I think he was supposed to be kind of younger.
I think if they did something like that with a young Grayson, definitely tie it to the Court of Owls and the idea of what Haley's Circus is really supposed to be.
Yeah, that training ground for assassins.
Exactly. I think that would be awesome. Cool. I think DC has a very rich, thick comic book history that a lot of characters could do their own series, do their own show.
Or even if Gotham lasts a couple years, eventually you could probably bring in the Grayson and the Haley Circus.
I would love them to have Haley Circus up in the first season and you meet a young John and Mary. Maybe they're just teenagers or just married, or, because, there's been depictions where Dick had brothers and sisters that were older. In some comics, usually they show him as an only child, but you could meet, just the Flying Grayson, a young John in the circus. Mm-hmm. And that would be something neat, like a young Bruce and Alfred at the circus.
Yeah, I was going to say, even have John and Mary even say something to Bruce.
You could meet a thug on the street that Gordon would arrest, who's Mr. Todd.
Oh, yeah, Jason Todd's dad.
Yeah, because he was just a thug. There's a lot that you could pad out that would be so neat just to be oh, wow.
See, this is the show to write for. There's so many directions you can take this.
I'm going to be so curious to talk to you guys after the pilot and have you guys say, oh, yeah, that was this person, and oh, yeah, that was that person.
All the Easter eggs, yeah.
Because I know there's a bunch I missed, especially because when we were watching the pilot, about 3-4 minutes before it ended, there was a big storm going on at the time. To the point that there was flooding and everything. It was a terrible storm, and the power went out in the big ballroom.
That's what happened. My friend and I saw Watchmen for the first time. Power went out in the middle of the theater.
Well, they eventually got it back up and rewound it so we could watch the ending of it, because for 10 minutes there was no sound. The fuse blew in the amp, and they had to replace it so they could get sound back.
I told you, how mad would you have been if they would have showed you the first 40 minutes, the power goes out, then they're oh, want to see more? Tune in September 22nd.
Oh, I would have been so mad.
That would have been funny, but bad.
Yeah. I think personally this show is DC's birthday present to me, so that's what I think. My birthday is 2 days later, so.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but it was really weird. So it took them a while to get, and because of that we didn't get to have a Q&A with the cast, which was kind of a letdown. But I can tell you this too: the hall was packed for the Gotham pilot, and it was the biggest hall they had there. I stayed later for the they had a Skype call with Leonard Nimoy. And there was only about a sixth of the room was full. So that tells you how much interest there was as much interest as there were for the guys from the X-Men movies and the guys from, they had all kinds of stuff going on.
Everybody loves Batman. I've often said Batman and Coca-Cola bring people together.
Yeah, I think Batman probably has the most diverse audience, probably.
Well, I agree with you. I say that when my brother and I were young, my dad wouldn't really watch cartoons with us, but when Batman the Animated Series came on, he would sit down and watch that with us. It's just, Batman has such a history like, this is Batman's 75th anniversary this year, and the Gotham show's coming out, so that definitely just really plays in together.
Yeah, plus I think a lot of, most people can find something that they can relate to themselves in Batman.
Well, and they can relate to the tragedy, and they can they really feel for Bruce,
Yeah, plus he's an ordinary, boy, and then an ordinary man,
No superpowers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of times superpowers throws people off, but.
Like I said, I'm excited. I'm hoping that they'll find that cool niche and it'll last and doesn't get fireflied.
Yeah. There are series on Fox that have lasted. I mean,
Bones.
look at Bones. Bones is in the 10th season. So.
Hey, if American Idol can last, this show can last.
Exactly.
Well, you guys are right.
Well, we got anything else?
Nope. I mean, I could talk Batman comics forever, but I gotta hop off here, fellas.
All right.
I gotta take care of a couple of things before it gets too late.
Okay. Well, if that's it, then that'll probably be it for 2 weeks. We'll reconvene for the first episode, which some of us have already seen.
Some of us will be seeing for the second time and be able to remember stuff.
Maybe the third time by then.
Oh.
All right, that sounds good to me. I look forward to it. I mean, we could talk Batman all day. We gotta save something to talk about next time.
Oh yeah. All right, is that it then?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm good for now.
All right, everybody. Jonathan, why don't you start? Anything you want to plug or?
I just want to say, you can find me on Twitter at JTYPatrick. I love talking to anybody about comics, ideas, anything DC. So just hit me up.
Cool. Kelly?
I'm Kelly, and you can find me on Twitter at SuperSquint. That's SuperSquint. And you can read me at voiceoftv.com or listen to me on Flashcast and Arrowcast as well.
All right. And for our show, the email is beforethebat@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, Before the Bat, the Gotham Podcast. And on Twitter, we're at Before the Bat Pod. So hit us up, let us know what you think about the show, our new co-hosts, ideas that you think's going to happen on the show, and I guess that's it. Join us in 2 weeks when me and Kelly and Tyler all get together again and discuss the first episode of Gotham after we've all seen it. So what's that sign up ahead say? It says we're now leaving Gotham. Good night and good luck.
Keep fighting crime.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.